All right, man. So we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
All right. Hello and welcome to Morning Fuel. I'm your host, John Bundy, and you are here because you believe in the power of the spoken word and its ability to change lives, and that by sharing our stories, we can help others overcome challenges that they cannot overcome on their own. Whether it's a victory that you needed to win in business or in your own personal life, you understand that listening to stories of others who are willing to share those stories will help you overcome. All right, today's guest on the Morning Fuel podcast is a champion in the arena of financial empowerment and credit education. Meet the innovative founder of Credit Kwan Do, where he and his team dedicate themselves to the mission of transforming the lives of credit-challenged individuals, particularly those in the real estate sector. His journey into credit education is personal and powerful. Having once navigated the challenging waters of poor credit himself, he possesses a deep understanding of its implications and the transformative power of proper financial management. This personal experience has fueled his passion to assist others, particularly mortgage lenders, realtors, and real estate agents who encounter clients hindered by credit issues. At Credit Kwan Do, he leads a team of consultants who do much more than merely fix credit scores. They empower individuals with the knowledge to understand and improve their credit, laying a solid foundation for future homeownership and financial freedom. His approach goes beyond simple corrections, focusing on debunking prevalent credit myths and fact-checking misinformation, thereby ensuring that his clients and their customers receive accurate and actionable advice. He is not just a credit consultant. He's an agent of change in the financial landscape, committed to ensuring that realtors and their clients escape the pitfalls of bad credit information and stride confidently toward their financial goals. Please join me in extending a warm Morning Fuel podcast welcome to a true educator and liberator in the world of finance, owner of Credit Kwan Do, Dwayne Jenkins. Man. Come on, man.
Oh my gosh, that intro, man! I want to sit on your side and interview whoever you just said that about.
Well, look, man, we're gonna get into it right now.
That was just imposter syndrome triggering right there. I was like, man, I do all that.
Well, we got to do that. We got to poke each other. We got to be like, do we really believe we do that stuff? Yes, we do. Do we really do that because people are telling us we do?
Yeah,
fantastic, man. Dwayne, I've been wanting to have you on the show since I met you, man. I remember we met. I think it was via LinkedIn, but you were at one of our trainings. Kimberly and I were talking about social media, talking about LinkedIn, what we were doing.
Right.
And man, you gave like a great review. And I mean, you're enthusiastic about it. And I'm thankful for that. And I've gotten people that have seen your recommendation on my LinkedIn page that are doing business with me now. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. All right, man. Well, we really love to hear about the origin stories.
Right.
We're big superhero fans in the Bundy household, and when that first episode to me is always the best one, where that normal average person gets bit by a spider or something happens in their family, and then it just totally changes their life, and then they become that hero.
Right.
How did Dwayne Jenkins first get involved in credit and helping other people with their credit?
Well, I think it just started with a bunch of mistakes and a lack of direction. And I feel like a credit report, at least the way I look at one, I could tell you all about the person I'm looking at, what makes them up, how they feel about themselves, their self-worth, where they come from, their background, and where they're likely to go before I even speak to them. That's all the information I take from a credit report, because any issue or gap on a credit report, there's an emotional story behind it.
Right.
So
you're looking at the credit score. It's almost like that person's bio. These are their stats.
Absolutely. That as far as I'm concerned, if there was an equivalent of somebody's financial blood pressure, that's what a credit score looks like to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now you in your intro here, you talk about a personal journey.
Yeah.
So you had a point where you actually had to do all this stuff and learn all this stuff for yourself.
Yeah. And like a lot of people, I learned things the hard way.
Right.
And it just, I think that really it could just start with a lack of direction, a lack of self-worth. For me, my personal story probably started with wanting to fit in with cool kids and not being allowed into the cool kid group.
Gotcha.
So, and I'm going to circle back and make a point off
Okay.
of something you complimented me on earlier. So I guess just, wanting to fit in, and just not being accepted into the cool kid crowd. Growing up, all my siblings were old enough to be my parents. I was an accident.
Were you the youngest?
Yeah, I was the youngest.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
my mom was like 37 when she had me. She's pushing 40 when she's pushing me out. And I mean, honestly, all of my siblings were born in her, early 20s. So there's a huge gap there. So I really kind of grew up as an only child, by myself. My parents didn't really have the best marriage, or at least one that, I thought was worth emulating. So, as a kid, I can't articulate from an adult perspective what's going on, but I saw enough of that stove to know I didn't want to touch it,
Right.
So now at 46, I've never been married. And, when there's a disconnect in a marriage, there are things that should be taught to a child that aren't being taught. So I really didn't have, among other things, that financial, background or education. My father just kind of, did things in a way that kind of shut my mother out financially. So she was always in the dark. Whenever I wanted something, it was just, hey, write a check.
Right.
Hey, that's what you do when you don't have the money. You write a check,
Right.
or you put it on layaway. And I just think that with the gap there, maybe I was taught that, love is through materialistic items or gifts or things like that, not necessarily bonding. So I always had this materialistic perspective. So as I, became an adult and I can sign for credit cards and loans and things of that nature without that proper upbringing to be prepared for it, like a lot of people, I got into situations where I didn't realize the gravity of what I was getting into. And then it really left me in a bad
So
way.
you knew from a young age, all right, something's off here.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't have the education to know what's off here. So I'm just going to roll with what I've learned.
Yeah.
Seen my parents do, seen my older siblings do,
Yeah.
and the mistakes that they made, and you got to kind of learn from that.
Yeah, for
and then
sure.
learn the hard way from yourself. You're very much like me. You beat your head against the wall until you either break through that thing or it breaks your head, and then you just got to kind of shake it off and go, okay, what do I need to do differently?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
man. Yeah.
Absolutely. So ultimately, I found myself, ironically, living with these two people, my mother and my father,
Right.
past the age that I should have moved out.
Gotcha.
And looking like, I had it all together from the outside.
Sure.
But the only thing that was really working in my life was the check engine light of my car.
Sure. Sure.
Because there was nothing else
Yeah,
that
that's
was
right.
functioning, at least financially. And then ultimately, I just found myself with maybe a 600 credit score if I added all three of them together.
Right.
And, for a living, I was working for a debt collection agency.
Okay.
One of the largest in the country. So ironically, my job was to call people and let them know how trifling they were, how much shame they should be feeling for not managing their bills responsibly and owing
Right.
us money. Yet most of them were in a better, financial
Right.
situation than I was.
So you're pointing a finger, and all those other fingers are pointing back at you. And did you make the connection when you were there, kind of feeling like, wait, I'll be collecting on myself soon?
Oh yeah, man. I felt like Dexter, man. I'm looking for the freaking serial killer. I am the serial killer.
Right.
You know what I mean? I am
Right.
the problem I'm looking for.
Right.
So it didn't really, you want to talk about how you could get into these things with a poor self-esteem starting off, and then
Sure.
you end up in these vicious cycles where it just keeps bashing your self-esteem and self-worth. You cannot feel good criticizing somebody else in an area where you are not solid yourself.
Sure.
It's like your subconscious will track all of this and you
Right.
can't fool it.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Absolutely.
So at that point, that car, it caught on fire.
Right.
It literally
on the
caught
side
on,
of the road.
Well, thankfully, in my mother's driveway.
Oh, wait a minute. A literal car, not
Yeah,
the figurative
yeah,
car.
The car with the check engine light.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So I had a red Mustang, and it looked so good on the outside because I was social media before social media. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people on social media that, they carefully curate their post, their page to look good on the outside. But if you know them personally, they are not fooling you.
Right.
So that was me. Right. And back then there was a song on the radio, No Scrubs.
Okay.
TLC,
Mm-hmm.
Passenger side of the best friend ride. I was the best friend with the car till it caught on fire. So at that point, I had tried to trade in a car before it caught on fire. I went to a dealership and they told me, after running my credit, that they couldn't get me approved for a Twix if I had a Snicks as collateral. So it was I just kept driving this coffin on wheels until that day.
Right.
But at that point, I just said, hey, I might as well try to work on my credit. I actually do have a working knowledge of credit.
Right.
And that's a sidebar point to make. When you're at your lowest point and things aren't going well, you can believe that things happen for you and not to you. So ironically, when I was in this situation that I didn't want to be in, I was learning what I needed to learn about credit and also seeing a path out of it. So at that point, it was April 2009. I started working on my credit. My score was about a 524. By September of that year, applying my knowledge, I reached at 240 points.
Wow. And
I was at a 764 credit score. And up until that point, I go into the dealership, pray they allow me to drive away with something, the interest rate and the damn 20 percentile.
Right.
And this time was different. I went to a bank and I let them run my credit. And they were just like, look, you go get anything you want. In fact, here's a check. You just go pick out a car. And I was like, this is completely foreign to me.
Right.
And I was like, well, damn, it is ridiculous that I was pushing 30, living with my parents with really no anything to look forward to in my future. And it's also ridiculous that now apparently my autograph is worth something.
Right.
So then it was just like, hey, like Grant Cardone says, which side of ridiculous do you want to be on?
Right.
So then I was like, well, man, maybe there are other people in this situation. And I feel so passionate about this that I can help them. So, even to this day, 15 years later, when we approach somebody for this type of help, we're not asking them, do we want them to get involved? It's like, hey, come with us if you want to live, because you really can't live.
Come with me if you want to not die.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't know what kind of life you can have in our country with bad credit. Yeah,
I got you. So, I mean, you pretty much covered it. The next question was going to be our what the fail. So the WTF of the show, and you covered it. Your WTF was cars on fire in the driveway.
Yeah.
And it totally changed your perspective and flipped the script. And now, not only, martial arts, we talked about that earlier. A martial arts instructor said this several times. It took me a while to get it, but we teach best what we need to learn most. I know this is probably going to sound like a infomercial or something like that, but, are you a busy entrepreneur or business owner who has very little time to plan their travels when it comes to taking their families on a vacation? And by the time you get there, you are super exhausted and you don't want to have to think about anything. You just want to enjoy. Well, welcome to Experience Rest, Rincon, Puerto Rico. Let me break it down for you. You come down here, you stay with Sarah and I in one of the many homes that we get access to. We take care of you. We take care of the planning based on your needs. The itinerary is built based on your choices before you even get here. And when you arrive, we pick you up at the airport. We take you to your home for the 2 weeks that you're here, and you don't have to make any decisions. You just show up. You just wake up, enjoy your coffee, enjoy your breakfast, and we make the decisions for you based on your choices. Sarah and I will be your guides, and also we'll take care of the things at the house as well. The cleaning, the cooking. I worked under a James Beard nominated chef at Stove in Port Norfolk, Virginia, and I've got a little bit of skill, but I guarantee you will be blessed with genuine Puerto Rican cuisine and gracious hosts and guides, and we'll take you on tours based on your preferences as well. If you're the adventurous type, we'll go ahead and take you to swim in a waterfall that's a short hike away, and also paddleboarding or surfing, even for the first time. We look forward to having you down. If you have any questions at any time, please don't hesitate to reach out. CasitaMaricao.com or Experience Rest. Thanks for being a part of the community, and we look forward to seeing you soon. And you did that, and now you're teaching others to do that, and ultimately, saving lives, saving people from a worse than a car fire. Some people get so bent over their wealth or lack thereof that causes people to do really stupid things. Suicide being one of them. I mean, you look at market crashes, you look at Great Depression back in the day, people jumping off of buildings. Well, that's pretty serious. So saving people's lives. Fantastic, man. So what was it? What was your morning fuel that from that point kind of keeps you out of car fires and keeps you out of ditches? What is it that kind of fuels you, gets you up in the morning, and keeps you going and doing what you do?
I've got a lot of business ideas. I got a lot of things that are important to me, or I think that they could cause great change. And I think that it's my mission in life, or at least my goal, to see those ideas come to reality and whatever they look like. To be 46, I've never been married. I don't have any children. Again, you want to talk about, looking good on the outside. I could market that and spin it like, hey, look at me. I'm free to do whatever I want, Right. But it can cause like a lot of people get their sense of purpose from the family that they create, their nuclear family of their creation.
Sure.
And without that, I think that I've aligned my purpose with, the business ideas, that I have. So I think that's my passion. I think that's what gets me up in the long run. And then I think that, what helps me daily is just trying to break that down into tasks that will just help me see the purpose of it, right?
Sure.
Sure. I feel like we have two types of people inside of ourselves, and we have one that'll allow us to set a goal, that will say, hey, I want to be an astronaut, or hey, I want to be a doctor and a lawyer. But then it's almost like there's somebody else inside of us that acts against us every day.
Right.
I mean, hell, if I want to make it to the National Football League, that's a great goal. But that doesn't necessarily mean I want to get up at 6 a.m. in the middle of December to go run hill sprints or lift weights.
Right.
So you have to have short-term goals and long-term goals to kind of keep you up, like you said, morning fuel.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, morning fuel, the title of the podcast came from some adversity that I experienced, and the things that I did, the systems and processes that I put in place in my own life, that now, because those systems and processes are there, no matter what happens to me, I will not go to that bad spot that I was before, because I've got some tools that will keep me out of that. And I've had worse things happen, to me since then. But because of what I've got in place, it doesn't take me there again.
Right.
Wow, man, cool. So, look, before I ask my last question, how can people reach out, get involved with Credit Kwan Do, and get involved with the education piece?
Yeah, they could find us on Facebook. They could find us on Instagram. We're on every social media platform as @Credit Kwan Do. That's CREDIT KWONDO. We post mostly on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram @Credit Kwan Do, @Financial Chocolate.
All right, man, I like it.
@Big Black Credit Snack.
There you go. Oh man, I love it. And I love your posts. I see many of them. I'd say probably 50% of the posts I've seen from you have to do with your shoes.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. You got a passion for shoes, man.
Well,
is it a passion?
It maybe, I don't know. I could if you want the story, I'll give it to you.
I do.
All right, cool. So I'll name this person too. I mean,
name them.
We're in the age where nobody's surviving. We'll name you. No. So look, when I was a kid, man, I really didn't care about shoes or anything like that. The bright side of being the only kid in a household is that, all the discretionary income can go to what you want.
Right.
I didn't care about shoes, man. When I was a kid, I wore kangaroos, bro.
There you go.
Dude, they had a pocket on the side of the shoe.
Come on, man.
And they had like Velcro straps. Who's going to sit there and mess with laces?
Right.
I pulled these straps on. Right. Exactly. So what happened? I was in middle school, and the kids started. They could be freaking vicious.
Yes, I can.
And they
you were probably bigger than all of them.
I
Weren't
mean,
you?
yeah, man. It just you know what? It made me a bigger target.
Oh, okay.
It just made me a bigger target. So kids were cracking on my shoes, and then I went and got a pair of Nikes, and I was so proud of these Nikes. I was like, hey, accept me now, right?
Right.
So I remember walking into this class, and I put my shoe on this girl's desk, my biggest antagonist. And she looked at me. This is a 6th grade. I'm going to say what she said. She looked up and down at me, looked at my shoes, and said, them old shits, ugh. That's what she said.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's cursing in 6th grade, number one. So you should know that. And it just made me feel any worse. So then I was just like, you know what? I went back to my mom, and I was just like, what is the shoe of all shoes that nobody's going to crack on me on?
Right.
And everybody is just, these shoes are beyond reproach.
Right.
Air Jordans.
Oh, come on, man.
Air Jordans.
No one can speak ill of Jordan.
Especially back then when he was playing, right? He was the man of all men. And my mom got me a pair of Air Jordans. And then it became like, okay, yeah, now what y'all going to say now?
Right.
Now I'm walking in with the Jordans. And then I thought that I would be accepted into the cool kids then. You know what happened?
What happened?
They were jealous.
Oh, yeah.
They went from cracking on me. So then I went and got the best thing I could get to be accepted, and then they became jealous.
Jordans are probably the most famous shoes in history.
Yeah.
Right. And you were wearing a pair, and now everyone's jealous.
Yeah. So then what happened is that I think from there, my shoe origin started off as this protection mechanism. So then I was like, you know what? If I walk into the room with the best pair of shoes, then nobody's going to be able to say anything to me.
Right.
And then at some point, I just kind of took an actual healthy liking to shoes.
Sure.
And now it's just out of habit. I have to wear these shoes.
And you like some colorful shoes, too.
So here's where we're going with that. So it just got to a point, and there's other situations where I wanted to be part of this crowd, and this crowd wouldn't accept me. And I spent a lot of time by myself with anxiety and not having friends, that I got to the point that I'm so used to it, I just do what the hell I want now.
That's right.
And ironically, now everybody wants to be cool with me, hang out with me.
Right.
It's crazy. So I wear these colorful wild shoes because that's what I like.
Yeah.
Not really care what anybody thinks.
Right. Do what you want. I do what I want.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
This is what life's taking me to.
Do you have a favorite pair? Like the most comfortable, like you put them on and you just feel like you're walking on a cloud?
Nah, man. Do you have a favorite kid? They're all my children.
Yeah,
they're all of them. I mean, I can't like one more than the other.
I got you. Yeah. I finally in my old age, some would say old age. I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
But I found my favorite brand. Like I have had the biggest problem with shoes, man.
Okay.
I need to be, and I tell my wife, I'm like, she's talking about her feet hurting. I'm like, why are you wearing them heels? You just need to wear some flats. You're always comfortable in flats. You never complain about them, right? Yeah. So now she's buying flats. But I went into, are you familiar with Plato's Closet?
I am familiar.
All right. I went in there because my daughter was looking for some clothes.
Yeah.
And I walked over to the guy's shoes, and I looked up, and there's a pair of Vans, and I never wore Vans before. And I pulled the Vans down. They were my size, and they were black with the wards, mm-hmm. like the Vans OG, with the little white line on the side. I put them on, and I was like, well, they fit me. Okay, I'll wear these. And now I wore them out because they're the most comfortable shoes. And now I just buy those. Okay. I'll get different color every once in a while. I mean, they don't have very many different colors and stuff like that, but I've got a couple. I've got a blue pair, and I've got a white checkerboard pair. And then my favorite is the black Vans with the original wards, man.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, that's my shoe.
Right.
Yeah, man. Well, that's awesome, man. I love it. I mean, it cracks me up every time, man. And your networking events, went to one recently, man. Shiny, happy people, man. Yeah. Everybody's just happy to be there, man. And it's cool. So the cool kids now show up at your events. Some of them. some of the cool kids show up. Man.
I mean, it's kind of what it is. But people will ask me, where do I get the energy from to be at all these events? I was at an event yesterday. I usually have 2 or 3 events in a day, and honestly, it comes from wanting to be the cool kid growing up and now having an opportunity to be that.
Yeah.
I could not do this for the financial gain or the business benefit.
Right.
That would not be enough motivation.
Right.
It's I get to enter the matrix as a cool kid.
Right.
And that's what I get out of it.
That's
so
cool.
the energy just comes from a place where it doesn't run out.
Yeah, it's wonderful, man. When you're doing what you're doing, you have unlimited fuel.
Right.
You know, I got a buddy that says he's a top fuel dragster, but if he's not doing what he loves to do, he's very lacking in energy. But when he's doing what he loves to do and what he was created to do, man, he's got unlimited energy. I wonder sometimes, man, how do you do that? How do you stay up to all hours of the night and wake up early and all that stuff? I love it. All right, man. Last question. Dwayne Jenkins of Credit Kwan Do.
Yeah.
What do you need most right now?
We want a larger reach across solid referral partners. So whether that's a car dealership, whether that's a lender or real estate company, if you are running a business with a product or service and there's a pain point where credit is a factor for onboarding a customer, we would want to have a meeting with you or see how we could connect or help
and
each
that's
other.
mutually beneficial because they don't lose out on that client being able to purchase the car or whatever it is or the home. That's fantastic. One last question.
Yeah.
Who's the dog? What's the dog's name? You got a dog holding up a 720 credit score, man. What's the dog's name?
You know, we should run a contest for a name.
You don't have a name for the dog?
Don't have a name. We're looking for a mascot, and I wanted something to symbolize the tenets of Taekwondo: loyalty, fierceness, protective.
Okay.
That's how we feel of our clients.
Okay.
We want to give them something that's going to change their lives and give them a path to move forward.
Okay.
And we felt like a German Shepherd would represent all of those.
All right.
things.
Well, I've got one to put in the hat.
Yeah.
And then maybe, from this we can get some others. But Lobo. Lobo means wolf. It means wolf in Spanish. Lobo. I've got Lobo. My dog that's coming down to Puerto Rico with me, his name's Lobo, but he's awesome.
I don't hate it.
Well, yeah.
You know,
so you're gonna get one. You're gonna see one, and you're gonna be like, "That is it. That's it. That's the name." Dwayne, really great to get to interview you, man. I've been looking forward to this. I'm so thankful we did it. This is actually my last U.S. based podcast. From here on out, the podcasts after this episode comes out will be Puerto Rican business owners. Come on down, start a business, man. Start some of your businesses down in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we'll do, man.
All right, man. They need good credit scores too.
they need you. They need John
Bundy. They need the both of us, man. Come on. Awesome, brother. Well, I really appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much.
All right, man.